The dungeon's echoes in the heart of a vast and ancient forest, hidden from the prying eyes of the world, lay the entrance to an underground labyrinth known only as the dungeon. This place, steeped in legend and shrouded in mystery, was said to hold the secrets of the ancients, treasures beyond imagination, and dangers that could freeze the very blood in one's veins. The entrance to the dungeon was a simple stone arch, overgrown with creeping vines and moss, almost indistinguishable from the surrounding forest. The air around it was thick with a sense of foreboding, as if the very earth knew of the dark secrets it held beneath. It was here that young Elara found herself, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a desire to prove herself worthy of the title of explorer, a title her late father had worn with pride. Elara was no ordinary girl. She had grown up on tales of her father's adventures, each story more fantastical than the last. Her father had once delved into the deepest reaches of the dungeon, returning with relics and artifacts that told stories of a bygone era. But on his last expedition, he had not returned. Elara, with her fiery red hair and determined spirit, now stood at the threshold of the same fate. Armed with nothing but a torch, a small dagger, and a map her father had left behind, Elara took a deep breath and stepped through the archway. The air grew colder immediately, and the light of the sun dimmed as she descended the stone steps into the darkness below. The echoes of her footsteps seemed to whisper secrets, tales of those who had come before and never returned. The first chamber she entered was vast, with high ceilings supported by columns carved with intricate runes. Elara's torch cast flickering shadows, giving life to the carvings on the walls. She paused to study them, tracing the patterns with her fingers, trying to decipher their meaning. The runes spoke of an ancient civilization, one that had harnessed the power of the earth itself, only to be consumed by their own greed and ambition. As she ventured deeper, the air grew colder, and the silence was broken only by the occasional drip of water from the ceiling. The passages were narrow, winding, and treacherous, with traps set by the ancients to deter intruders. Elara's keen senses and quick reflexes saved her more than once, as she narrowly avoided spikes, pits, and darting arrows. Hours turned into days as Elara navigated the labyrinthine corridors, her determination unwavering. She knew that somewhere in the depths of the dungeon lay the answers she sought, answers to her father's disappearance and the secrets of the ancients. Her provisions dwindled, and sleep was a luxury she could ill afford, but she pressed on, driven by a fire that burned brighter than any torch. It was on the third day that Elara stumbled upon a hidden chamber, concealed behind a false wall. The room was small, but it radiated a power that made the hairs on her neck stand on end. In the center of the room stood an altar, upon which lay an ancient tome, bound in leather and adorned with golden runes. Elara approached it with reverence, her fingers trembling as she opened the book. The pages were filled with the same runes she had seen earlier, but these seemed to pulse with a life of their own. As she read, the story of the ancients unfolded before her eyes. They had indeed harnessed the power of the earth, using it to create wonders and miracles. But their greed led them to delve too deeply, awakening a darkness that consumed them and their civilization. Among the tales of power and downfall, Elara found a passage that spoke directly to her heart. It was a prophecy, foretelling the return of a lost soul who would seek the truth and restore balance to the world. The words seemed to glow as she read them, and she knew without a doubt that her father had found this same tome, and it had been the cause of his disappearance. With renewed determination, Elara continued her journey, the tome now safely in her satchel. She knew that she had to find the source of the darkness and put an end to it, not just for her father, but for the world. The path grew more treacherous, the traps more cunning, but she faced them all with a steely resolve. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Elara found herself in the heart of the dungeon. The chamber was vast, the ceiling lost in shadows, and at its center stood a towering figure, shrouded in darkness. It was a creature of nightmare, born of the very darkness the ancients had awakened. It turned to face her, its eyes burning with an unholy light. Elara drew her dagger, the blade glinting in the torchlight. She knew that this was the moment her entire journey had led to. With a battle cry that echoed through the chamber, she charged at the creature, her father's spirit guiding her hand. The fight was fierce, and Elara's strength was tested to its limits. But in the end, her determination and the light of the ancient tome prevailed. The creature fell, and with its demise, the darkness that had plagued the dungeon began to recede. The air grew warmer, and the oppressive weight lifted from Elara's shoulders. She had done it. She had found the truth, avenged her father, and restored balance. As she made her way back to the surface, Elara couldn't help but smile. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she had proven herself worthy of the title of explorer. The dungeon had tested her, but she had emerged victorious, carrying with her the legacy of her father and the knowledge of the ancients. And so, the legend of Elara the explorer was born, a tale that would be told for generations to come, inspiring others to seek the truth and face the darkness with courage and determination.